And so that before going further, I would like to present a tune from my pre-war recollection. The scene is the Ireland Games in Skye. The date is August 1936. The judges are my father and John MacDonald. The weather is perfect. I am sitting on a hill overlooking the games ground in company with Frank Richardson. The competitor is John Wilson. The tune is the Lament for the Viscount of Dundee. And to foster the illusion, here to play that tune is John McClellan, who in later years himself came to match the achievements of that famous fall.
Dr. Taylor was president of Piobaireachd now, and he saw me in a bus and he came and he said, would you like to join the OTC, the Officers Training Corps? Okay. Anyway, I joined the OTC and I started kind of playing a bit more and get more interested. But we'd go away sometimes on the weekends, and I met Bob Nichol.
Right.
And Bob Nichol was a distant relation. Now I don't know exactly what it is because he never, unfortunately I never straightened that one out. He told me we were related, and I think I would need to check this out now. His mother's side were McDonald's.
Okay.
From Neudert.
Mm-hmm.
Not from Neudert, but Neudert, which is north of it, and could be that it was through the Gillises, because we had people on my mother's side, there were Gillises, and on the other side was the Loch, so
mm-hmm.
I don't know what. But anyway, he was very keen that I see him about Piobaireachd, and so I used to go out and see him in Ballater, take a bus out, but I think I was already lambasting about Piobaireachd and saying, you know, what is this stuff? It's something, I didn't like it. There was something about it that annoyed me.
Yes. And
I couldn't explain why.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from the fact that every time you went up and played, there'd be some dude standing, some character would take you aside after and say, oh, that's fun. That's not the way to play it. You have to do it this way. You'd go, well.
Why?
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 Where's the, you know, there was no rhyme or reason. And so I used to end up kind of arguing with Bob Nichol. He was great. He had a great sense of humor. He would just listen. I would say, well, why can't you sing it like this? And I would sing it.
Uh-huh.
And he would say, that's very nice. But that's not the way John MacDonald done. And he would say, you know, you must get the song out of it. I thought, well, yeah, this must be a comment that's been handed down.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, he would sing it. But to me, it was all these long E cadences, so the melody, the melodic line wasn't memorable.
Aye.
What had happened, of course, was that I found this out later, that the decorations had become part of the melody of the tune.
He and I discussed the Lament for Mary MacLeod. The melody is in the low A, not in the E thing.
I taught that to an accordionist,
Uh-huh.
Angus MacPhail, actually,
Okay.
in a bar, and I think it took him 5 minutes to
Mhm.
learn the ground.
There you are.
It was handed down
Aye.
that way without any music, so it had to be strongly melodic. Or repeated.
Yes.
And then you repeat it again.
Yeah. That off any old music or?
No, I worked it out because
Yeah,
it's,
okay, fair enough,
it's very
right.
clear from the
Uh-huh.
very earliest manuscripts.
So
Very clear, and from the cantor. Well, during that time, I had I applied for a scholarship, applied for funding to the John McFadden Trust
okay.
because I was interested in looking at this relationship between the Piobaireachd and the song tradition.
Uh-huh.
Given that I couldn't understand why I was not fired up by this music from age 17 onwards, despite the fact that all the titles were in Gaelic and it came out of my culture,
Mm-hmm.
there doesn't seem to be any trace of the rhythmic schemes and motifs that you would find in song and throughout your own tradition.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the questions in my head, and so I managed to get support for a couple of years.
With the original intention.
Well, I know that the late Seamus McNeill was very much against me
Uh-huh.
getting funded because I'd already jumped out of the box. After the 2 years were up, they were asking where my conclusions were, but I had already decided I was going to do a much deeper study.
Uh-huh.
I think what was expected was some sort of collation of all songs in Piobaireachd and really back up the style that was being played. Remembering, of course, that this was a gradual thing. This had happened since, 1781 since I started competing.
Aye.
It wasn't something that happened overnight. And you can see the gradual development into what we have today,
Aye.
which is a very slow, measured style of playing.
When you won the 84 gold medal, what tune did you play?
Grain and hides and corn and sacks.
Okay. Would you play would yourself playing it half a dozen years later or a dozen years later different from what you played it in the gold medal?
Oh, absolutely.
And likewise with the clasps.
Yeah. Yes.
No, the 2 years you won the clasp.
Yes, but in all of these cases, I was playing on the edge. I was playing much freer.
Okay.
Yeah. That was natural. That was a thing that
So
had to be part of it.
well, the judges
wasn't
say
as
a help here in the clasp sort of thing.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of even controversy over the gold medal because the way I played it was much freer.
Uh-huh.
I remember David Murray was judging,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a more liberal approach, far more liberal approach.
Mm-hmm.
I think he understood where I was at,
Mm-hmm.
what was happening,
Yeah.
and he had looked at the historical development and thought about it, and you could still play, this Piobaireachd today, this modern style.
Yes.
If you can still how do I say it? It's very difficult because what has happened is they're literally playing what's on the page. That's what's happened now.
Yes.
So I think Kilberry was a great influence when he put in the long E cadence. This E became one beat. Originally, you'd have a motif, which was something. Joseph MacDonald's time, it was. Well, these were called crachanants, or shakes, and they became. They were called later echo beats. So that decoration became. So by Donald MacDonald's time, I think there was only one tune where he had 4 notes in this cadence, or introduction. Angus Mackay then took it right down to 3.
Okay.
So you'll find in all these publications this desire to standardise. And of course, it's all part of the competitive environment. They needed to standardise before they could judge it. You know, so and they would talk about authorised settings and consistency. Dirty words, because he didn't have I was lucky to have the opportunity to look into it and study it, because I knew the Gaelic song tradition.
Who recorded the music in your eyes most faithfully? Was it Angus Mackay, or who would it be?
They were kind of all at it. See, Donald MacDonald, if you look at Donald MacDonald, again, was we don't really know enough about that the social circumstances. We could surmise as much, but the fact that he put piano scores underneath and put so many cadences in his tunes, he littered his tunes with cadences. All these cadences are. It's up to the performer where he puts the decoration.
Yes.
It's like a shell noise singer. You know, your singers that you'll have a subtle little decorations onto the leading note.
Okay.
Or the Joseph MacDonald, 1760. His manuscript tells us so much about how Piobaireachd was played.
Aye.
Yeah, it's very clear to me then. And he has little fragments, and he's just showing it. He's showing the melodic line of the tune. The only tune he publishes is March for a Beginner.
How important to you is the rhythm in Piobaireachd?
Oh, it's crucial. I think there was a late Professor Tovey. He was a professor of music at Edinburgh University. I think it was him who said, music without rhythm is like a filleted fish. Quite like that one.